This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Rich Post, John Bonnis, Mike Mallet, and Chris Marquardt.
The 31st lap. I'm going to go ahead and unmute it again.
Awesome.
Again, these 2-week layoffs are killing me. Good evening. Welcome to the 31st lap. I'm Chris Marquardt. Joining me in the studio, we got the whole house here. We got Rich, we got Mike, we got John. John is full of excitement. He can't wait to be here. Tonight we are coming to you from the lavish FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls. Thanks for joining us. We're streaming live on FingerLakes1.com. Follow the links to see the show as it happens. Boy, that soundboard sounds good tonight. We got that thing all straightened out from last week.
There's nothing
show.
popping in my ear. That's what I meant to
like
say.
That.
Yeah.
Looks like everything's streaming the right way.
Oh, I'm streaming. I'm streamlined.
This is good. Big show tonight. We got Roger Slack, general manager and promoter of the Eldora
Wow,
Speedway.
we're out of practice.
And we got Rolf Schnur, Motorsports Marketing, is also going to be on the show a little bit later on. I guess Mike and I were kind of talking a little bit before we got going through the course of the evening what we wanted to lead off with, and I guess probably the thing to do is get the hardship out of the way.
It's been a tough couple of weeks since we've been on the air the last time. And
it's been a while, and there's been some losses.
Yeah, sadly, motorsports racing lost 3 very influential, very important people in the industry. Obviously, Stan Friesen, patriarch of the Friesen family. We all know Stewie Friesen, his grandfather. His family's been involved in Ransomville, Merrittville Speedways for, now Ransomville only, but for as long as, I've been in racing, and most of us have been in racing. Sadly, Milt Johnson also passed away, Danny and Alan Johnson's father. We all know, Danny and Alan Johnson, and sadly we lost him this over break. And then, of course, Doug Hoffman, someone that a lot of us spent many a Saturday night watching race, or many Super Dirt Series racing, and most recently the promoter down at the Bridgeport Speedway. So sadly, all those gentlemen are no longer with us, and from all of us, we just want to send out our condolences and our thoughts and our prayers to their families. It's a difficult process or difficult thing to have happen no matter what, but especially around the holidays, that just adds to it.
Let's not forget Eldon Jensen.
Eldon Jensen, right.
And as well, not only those are ones from our neck of the woods, our racing, but also Stephen Allard.
Stephen Allard out in California, a sprint car driver out there as well.
His brother Jonathan Allard still races sprint cars as well as Stephen, and he passed away, I believe, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it was around the same time. Yep. So
as far as the racing community goes, that's like 5 in the dirt track world.
Yeah, it's been a tough holiday for folks in the racing industry, no doubt about that. So, again, our condolences, our thoughts, our prayers are with all of those families in their difficult times. And hopefully, as we get to the spring here, things get better. Things turn around and things get better, and we get back to the racetrack. I know I was fortunate here this past weekend, not really weekend, this past Monday, which I don't get to say that very often.
No.
This past Monday to see some racing. Great time, as always, with the indoor shows. I love indoor racing. A lot of people, it's either you love it or you hate it, and I love it.
I like watching short track outdoor while they beat and bang, and I got to imagine there's a little bit more.
Indoor racing is,
stuff.
I've said it 17 million times on here, and I'll say it again. It's a contact sport. I mean, there's no doubt about it that you're going to get beat, you're going to get banged around, and it's a battle for survival. They started 25 cars. Eric Rudolph was scheduled to start, but he didn't, had motor issues, so they started 25 instead of 26. And it was a very, very good indoor race, which, a lot of people say, there's no passing indoors. They just rock each other. But, well, yes, they do that too. But this race had some good racing, good passes. I mean, the guy that won, Teddy Christopher, impressive. If everybody knows who Ted Christopher is. One of the most famous modified drivers of our generation, probably of the past couple of generations, other than Richie Evans. He's probably the guy everybody thinks of when you think of modified racing.
Pavement modified.
Yes,
for those who may not know.
Yes, for those of us that, or for those of you that do not follow asphalt modified racing. But he is.
Doug Zupan just exploded at home. I don't think he's going to be able to be with
I know, because I just mentioned Well, he is not a Ted Christopher fan. And it all goes back to a quote that Teddy Christopher had about Richie Evans, and I think he said he was better than Richie Evans or something like that. And I remember the week he said it. Zupan came into the tower at Utica Rome, and I thought his head was going to explode. Like, he was so pissed. It was probably one of my favorite things going on. So I'm still trying to I got to get a Ted Christopher shirt and get it autographed to Doug.
I like Teddy. I like Teddy. Now I like him even more.
Yeah, now, I don't think I've ever mentioned on here the first time I ever met Ted Christopher. Maybe I have. Was last year in Florida, the first time I ever talked to him, and I get a call from Ariotto. Him and someone else had wrecked the night before. I wasn't there to see it, but there was reports that they got into each other heavily, and it was a mutual disagreement to wreck each other. And I can't remember who it was.
Isn't that how most wrecks happen?
Yeah, usually.
That's how it ends up anyway.
Yeah, and one guy got the worst end of the deal. So my job was to walk in there and ask Ted Christopher what happened, because he was the one that didn't have the issue. So I walk in there, I'm like, hey, Ted Christopher, how you doing? My name's Mike Mel from Ariotto Racing News. I'm sorry that this is the first time I ever met you, but I got to ask you, what happened yesterday? I wasn't here, so I'm just, they wanted some quotes for the paper, and they're trying to get it in for, the deadline, because it was a Monday night. And they're like, and he just looks at me and goes, I'm not going to talk about yesterday. That was a racing incident, and that was yesterday. I'm here to race today. I'm like, okay, we're good. All right.
Got the quote.
I like it. I'm good. Ready to move on. And then the best part was that night, what happens? Same two guys get into each other and end up, one guy ends up wrecked again, and it wasn't Ted Christopher. But he didn't. That one I thought was more the guy tried cutting underneath him. And on pavement, when you're racing side by side, you can't see that guy that's dragging back a little bit behind you. And he kind of came down, and the car trying to get under him got down on the flat, and it spun him.
I bet that's not what the other guy thought.
No, actually, he wasn't too bad about it. Actually, he wasn't nearly as pissed as I thought he was going to be when I went over there. Because if you're doing your job, you got to go talk to both of them, which is never fun because you don't know what the reaction is going to be, whichever way you go. Because sometimes it's
Mike.
It happens. Yeah.
We've been at Weedsport and we've been at Rolly Wheels in situations like that, and we've interviewed guys in these type of situations together where you interview. Who do you go to first? Do you go to the guy you're going to get a quote from, or do you go to the guy?
You know what I do? I go to the guy that got the worst end of the deal first, because, and I got an example of this. Wall Stadium a couple years ago, Stuart Friesen won the modified feature on Friday night, dirt modifieds. Came back on Saturday, and him and Lou Ciccone got together. And needless to say, Ciccone kept going, Stewie did not. The flagger, I'm pretty sure, pooped his pants as the car went pretty much the right front went through the flag stand. Down the front stretch of wall. So I go over, I'm like, Stu, what happened? And he goes off. So I'm like, I didn't even see the contact. That's how it started. I didn't know. I just go to the guy that wrecked and make sure he's okay first, because most of these guys are friends of ours. And then, I get the quote. Well, then I go over to Lou Ciccone. I'm like, Lou, what happened? Stewie was upset. And then, whoof, he goes off. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, there's cases like that where it doesn't matter. I mean, it's
a hornet's nest.
You're not going to win, and half the stuff they say, you can't print because there's no real words in it. It's just there's just lots of words that start with F.
Yeah. I've always tried to wait. Yeah. Just wait.
There's been plenty of situations where I've interviewed folks in that situation, and I'm nervous to ask the question because,
but you have to ask the question.
No, not even that. To the second guy,
yeah,
because they're like, well, what did so and so say? And do you tell him? Do you not tell him? Because if you tell him, are you going to get decked, or is he going to march over to the trailer and deck them?
Well, see, what I always say is this: I always use the line, "Well, he is not happy."
Because you never did interviews.
Not that frequently.
Oh, there's so many things I could say right now, but I'm going to let this one slide. But no, but
please don't.
I always say, see, the thing is, I always say he is not happy with you. I never will say what the quote was or what that guy said about you. Just because he didn't say it to you, he said it to me. So you have, honestly, if you want to know, read it. But I shouldn't be instigating the fight. I'm just there to figure out what happened. I mean, that's as a reporter, that's your job. What happened? Yeah. I mean, I've been almost decked in a pit area, but it wasn't because it was anything on my fault. I was in North Carolina, and this guy, they were racing on a track, and it took rubber, and it was awful. But it was one of those nights. Well, the guy leading the race, he started slowing down to save the tire. Well, the guy behind him had a fresh tire, and we all know how this works. So he spins him, get the hell out of the way, you're done, and then he wins the race. Well, I'm over talking to the winner, and next thing you know, I get shoved from behind. Somebody's pushing me to the ground, and he pops the guy right in the face as I'm trying to interview him, and it's on. And I'm like, I'm just a reporter. I'm trying to duck and not get hit. I'm like,
you'll use a reporter.
Yeah, I guess I don't need to get a quote here. I guess I'm good. I'm not going to the guy that got dumped now because I figured out how he felt.
Yeah, that was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, that was the closest I've ever been to getting popped in a pit area. I mean, because I normally try to stay away. Don't want to hurt this pretty face.
No, God forbid.
I've always been nervous about getting hit. Black Rock was one of the
God.
worst.
Yeah, you got to remember,
I was always sure that I was going to the hospital.
Well, it
after the
depends
races
on,
and it could have been any of the divisions. It could have been pro, street stock. It could have been trucks. Could have been modifieds. I was sure that one of those nights I was never leaving that track.
You got to remember who you're working with too, because there's certain guys they're not violent in nature. They're just mouthy. They're going to talk
like Mike Mallet.
Yes, and. I'm okay. Hey, I'm okay with that. I've learned that. I've had my fair share of duck, but hey, but no, in various situations. But no, you and I, we all know, like when you deal with drivers, there's certain drivers that are far more apt to be very, very upset than others. Like some will just talk about it, and when it's done, it's done. It's off the racetrack. I'm not going to forget it. But what goes around comes around. And they'll say that. Then there's other guys that they're stewing and they're pissed and they're ready to fight, and you don't go there until everything kind of calms down. So
yeah, the last couple of years at Canandaigua, I have.
You're learning that. Well, being in the security realm, you got to know who the guys are, so you can get over there and break it up.
Listen, there's been a couple of times.
He just used a listen.
Well, I got to throw the first one of the year. Bombas doesn't even look like he's awake over there. So there's been a couple times.
We have yet to mention the word chili bowl, so he's not even he's out of it until that comes.
Do you see
up.
what sweatshirt he was wearing?
And a hat.
And the hat. What's it say?
Chili bowl.
Oh, there he goes. He's all perked up. Look at he's happy now.
What's the chili bowl?
Don't do that. What are you doing? What are you doing? We're trying to have a good conversation here.
We're doing good so far. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, you learn. You know who. I mean, who you can talk to, who you can't, and you just.
Sometimes they surprise you.
Oh yeah. Well, there's some guys that I'll say, "Hey, you want me to call you tomorrow?" Yeah, better idea. And
Dave Rauscher surprised me one night.
I could see Dave Rauscher being mad. He's a big dude. The Big Show.
I have not seen the Big Show angry. He's always.
I've seen him wreck stuff.
I've seen him wreck.
I think Chris and I saw him rebuild 4 race cars 1 week in Quebec. Poor guy. It didn't matter what happened to him. Every day,
the crap
every day he had to go and fix like half the car.
Listen,
I'll tell you what. Dave. On the plus side, you didn't have to put a back half on it.
Yeah, I know. That was that week. Remember when we were up there? Yeah. I mean, it was like every race. And probably 3 out of the 4 wrecks, he had nothing
to do with them.
Nothing to do with it, and it was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That was the time. It was Pierre Dagenet walked up to him and in his heavy French accent kicked the quarter panel and goes, "I don't want you spoiled."
Yeah.
But the thing with Dave is he's always smiling.
Yeah.
You give him
even when he's ready to hit somebody.
Right after he's done, yeah. I mean, I watched him drive through the side of a car that was parked behind a hauler one night because he just he's so laid back all the time. Yeah.
But again, everybody reaches their breaking point. Well, come on, I mean, we saw NASCAR this year with Jeff Gordon.
I mean, my example basically is a guy like that who doesn't ever do that stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm.
Boy, this is a random tangent we got off on, by the way.
It's the first tangent of the year.
I know.
Leave it to me.
So much fun.
But
yeah, I know what you're saying.
That's a tough thing to walk into, regardless, to get a quote or in any other way. You're walking into a hornet's nest.
But anyways, we'll get back to Ted Christopher now because that's I think how this all started. But yeah, Ted Christopher won the indoor event down there at Providence, Rhode Island, or should I say out there east in Providence, Rhode Island, and he won with a burned up hand. He actually had an issue in the pits. They were checking the fuel or something like that, and it flamed out. When they took the cap off, and it burned his hand severely, and it burned one of his crew guys, burned him on the head. So he came out, was basically driving with one hand, all wrapped up, bandaged up, and he won it. Patrick Emmerling got third. He led most of the race, and he just kept sliding out a little bit off the turn, and then finally, he gave TC gave him a little tap going in, and just enough because he already was high, and in indoor racing you got to hub suck the Uke tires. I mean you got to hub suck those tires, and he gave him a little bit of room, and boom, and there went Teddy, and Anthony Cecily also got by. Anthony Cecily got second. That's the Wall Modified champion. Emmerling was third. Tim Buckwalter, how about it, making all the way back from Tulsa to run indoors, and he got a 4th place finish.
Yeah, he ran the Tulsa shootout all weekend.
Yeah, and then Joey Payne came from the 25th starting spot to finish in 5th. So all in all, pretty entertaining, pretty exciting stuff for indoor racing again. And then coming up now, we got some indoor racing, obviously Chili Bowl. And then after that, we, of course, have the, for us, those of us that like to travel, Atlantic City on the first weekend in February. It's the 4th and the 5th. I'm looking forward to that. Atlantic City, of the 3, is probably the more famous one. This has got a long tradition of the indoor racing and should be pretty good.
I'm to see if I can manage to.
What can be better, gambling and racing together?
Another indoor race was announced this week, too, for midgets.
We're at
a dirt midget race in was it Kansas City? No, I'm trying to remember.
Why
now.
can't they do any of this
It
here?
It was announced this week. They did it 5 years ago.
Okay.
And they're bringing them back. I want to say it was Kansas City.
Is there any place big enough to do it here?
Carrier Dome.
The Dome.
Okay.
Because you could pit all the cars in there. The only problem would be is you'd have to.
Well, I think
the monster trucks.
I think the pitting would be the problem.
Well, the monster
you
trucks.
You could build the track in the Dome. It's big enough, but I'm not sure around outside of the seating area in the Dome where I don't know the.
There's got to be room. There's got to be.
I don't know about.
Yeah, I've never been underground, but there's got to be enough room under there.
Yeah, I don't know where they could park stuff.
I would assume so.
That's what I was thinking. And the other problem is around here, like we've talked about.
There's no midgets. That's the other problem.
You don't have that foothold.
Yeah.
The thing that skews my perspective on it is the fact that it's a midget versus. I mean, I'm just picturing a 360 sprint car with no wing.
Can you imagine running 360 sprint cars indoors? That'd be
wouldn't
awful.
That be crazy? Yeah.
It'd be awful, but it'd be. Well, the thing is, you can never make a big enough track for them in the Dome. That wouldn't be big enough. I mean, you'd be basically put a cone on this side, a cone on that side, and then race around them. So it would have been like Redline if you ever been there.
Yeah, full size sprint cars just wouldn't work.
It wouldn't be good. You'd have to
do
a
place big enough.
It's not why, and then plus the parking area probably wouldn't be big enough underneath, and it just
even the Chili Bowl. They've got the biggest facility and the biggest track of any other indoor track that I've ever seen.
Right. I mean, and
even that is too small for a full size sprint car.
Right. And I mean, the work you'd have to do to make the track work. I mean, they do monster trucks in there, so you basically would have to hope that the monster truck people would work with you and leave the dirt down. I mean, that's your hope. I mean, that's
the rental for the Dome. That's the other thing.
Oh, it's got to be crazy because I mean, I was talking to
the Outlaws raced. Dino's on here. The Outlaws raced at the St. Pete Dome.
Yeah,
it's about the same size as Carrier Dome.
Is it? I mean, I was talking to
so I guess it's
Danny
possible.
Salmons. We were just talking, indoor racing in general, and when we're going to come to Syracuse and do it so we could sell it out, But again, there's no place to park in the War Memorial.
Right, I think
that's your problem. So and the other issue you get with the Carrier Dome is it's turf. That turf is there all the time. It doesn't come out.
Right.
So if you want to do anything, you have to cover it with plywood and then plastic, and it's just it's a logistical nightmare, and you may or may not make money, and you're spending a hell of a lot of money to try it out.
Well, the problem is what are you going to race on?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have 600s here. You don't have midgets. You don't have.
Well, you're talking about the. I mean, what are you going to race on? You're talking about the turf. If the turf, is
then you got to bring in all the dirt in.
They can't cover it with concrete.
Well, no. What you would do, you would have to cover it with plywood and plastic, and then cover all that with
dirt. If you're
dirt.
talking about having a dirt race, that'd be the only thing.
That's the only thing you could do. You couldn't do a pavement race.
TQ race because it's not going to be able to cover it with concrete.
Right. You can't. So you'd have to do it with.
It'd have to be a dirt race.
It'd have to be a dirt race. Yep. Unless you got real ambitious, want to spend $70,000, and you built a concrete track on top and let it set for 2 weeks.
Yeah, good luck.
That makes the most sense in the world.
Yeah, and then you just, you know what? You tear it down piece by piece and you save it for the following year.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing's cost effective. Dude, it's indoor racing. Is there anything cost effective about racing in general usually?
Indoor racing, there's 2 events that
make money.
Make a lot of money.
Well, of course the Chili Bowl does.
The Tulsa shootout.
Well, it's going to make money. There's 600 cars and they pay $25.
Emma and Lanny Edwards make everything that covers the Tulsa shootout, the expenses to cover the Tulsa shootout and the Chili Bowl, all in the Tulsa shootout.
Yeah.
So the Chili Bowl becomes gravy.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
But
it's a good couple days.
When you draw 998 cars for the Tulsa shootout, what do you expect?
Yeah, but again, and that's got a tradition of, how long now? It's
28
not
years now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a fly-by-night, let's do it once and kind of see what happens.
It didn't have 900 cars in the first iteration.
No, probably not. No, it's like anything. You never
actually, they did. Yeah, they used to draw like 1,100 entries, but before it used to have micro. There was only a couple classes of micros. They had a bunch of classes of go-karts, and they had four-wheelers. They eliminated 3 or 4 years ago the 4-wheelers and the go-karts and went strictly to micros.
Yeah.
So to get almost, they were only a couple shy of 1,000 micros.
That's pretty impressive.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, since we've been talking about it now, and joining us here on the phone is Roger Slack, General Manager of Eldora Speedway. And Roger, thanks for coming on the 31st lap.
Guys, it's a pleasure to be working the 31st lap with you.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here with us. You got some big things going on out there at the Eldora Speedway. We've talked about it, and even the night we brought it up here, the night that it was announced that you guys are going to be running the Camping World Truck Series out there at Eldora Speedway, we've talked about it, and we said the person we wanted to have on was you, and we wanted to talk to you about it. So tell us the process, how you guys were able to get this done, and how excited are you about this event?
Well, it is pretty exciting, and I worked at Charlotte there for a long time, and then I left, and I always said, I was done with NASCAR, and I would never ever work at another place that I ever had to, go in wearing anything but shorts and flip-flops ever again. And I haven't changed. I still wear shorts and flip-flops even in the winter here at Eldora, but we had a real successful World 100 this year, and we've had just a tremendous year here. My first year at Eldora, and we were sitting around in our regular meeting on September 12th after the World 100, and we got thinking about what can we do next year? What can we do to top this year, going into our 60th season? And because we knew the Prelude was going to take a little time off. And I knew that NASCAR wanted to do something with the trucks, and Tony'd always want to have a NASCAR race, and I knew that they may have been having some trouble trying to fill the truck schedule. And I said, you know what, I'm going to work on this afternoon. And I went in my office and sent an email to a friend of mine, and 6 weeks later we had a top secret test, and that top secret test turned into a leak on NASCAR or on ESPN.com that night, and it's been rolling ever since. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that you recorded that secret test because I got to watch it on YouTube, and it got me excited about it.
Yeah, it was a pretty neat deal because we kept it so quiet, and actually even when the event was finally announced. There were, I guess, a lot of people within the actual NASCAR building and business that they were sort of upset with each other because they didn't really know for sure that it was happening. And that affected how many hotels they were that they were booking for their officials and all that stuff, because nobody was really sure if the thing was really for sure or true or really going to happen or not. And we kept it so quiet. I sent a text to Austin Dillon the night before the test. I said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" And he sent me a text back. He said, I don't know. What am I doing tomorrow? And then so we got on the phone, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, they told me that my grandpa told me he'd fire me if I told anybody what I was doing tomorrow." and so it was a really cool process to go through, and we set up a online streaming deal through somebody else's website, so that Mike Helton and Steve O'Donnell and some of the other NASCAR executives could watch it on their computers in their offices wherever they were at the time. Robin Pemberton and Wayne Otten, Brett Bodine, Dennis Adcock, they were all up here. And but yeah, so that they could be watching the live stream of the 2 days. It was only supposed to be a one-day test, but we had rain and the track wasn't very good the first day, so we extended it to a second day. And it was just a really cool process, and I think it also proved to NASCAR just how capable Eldora was of pulling off some stuff that they may not have thought that we could do.
I got to assume that the response from the fans has been pretty pumped about it. What response are you guys getting other than that, say from the Truck Series drivers and things like that?
It's been really interesting so far because they're all really pumped up and excited. And the Truck Series, even though it's probably some of the greatest racing that's out there that you can see on asphalt right now, I think needed a little bit of a shot in the arm. And so it's definitely given it that. And so those guys are excited, and I'm excited to see. I mean, I think a guy like Nelson Piquet Jr. has got a lot of talent that maybe we all don't realize that he has. I mean, we've seen him excel on a road course, and we've seen him excel on a speedway. But I think the guy has talent, and this may be an opportunity for us to see him show it to the whole world. That this guy isn't just a road racer. He's not just the son of a world champion. This guy is a great race car driver. And then you've got the Sprint Cup and the Nationwide Stars that have dirt in their veins that they can't wait to get back out here because they've been here in the Prelude. And then you've got Scott Bloomquist, Kenny Wallace, Kenny Schrader, Josh Richards, J.R. Hefner, all these guys that if they've got rides or they're working on rides or they've announced that they've got rides, and they're coming from the dirt side to bring it on, and so you're going to have the traditional drivers, you're going to have this roster of dirt in their veins guys, and then you're going to have the actual dirt guys that are out there sort of defending their Eldora turf, and then we've got some local guys that have put together rides already. So it's really going to be a neat eclectic field, and right now NASCAR has said it's really their most anticipated event of the entire season.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, I think when it was announced, we talked about it. I was kind of skeptical. I'm not going to lie. I was not at first. I wasn't buying it, but then I was
excited.
Then I watched the test, and it gave me a different appreciation for it. I will say that because it looked a lot better than I thought it was. Because I think of like the pavement guys. How are they going to adjust to racing on the dirt? That's going to be a challenge for some of them. But after seeing the test, I think it should be interesting. Yeah.
Is it possible?
RCR wasn't supposed to bring the trucks with splitters on, and they did. And Tony went out, and the track was soft. We'd got rained out. We'd had All-Star Sprint race on Saturday night, and it ended up getting rained out. And then we got two massive storms on Sunday that we were not supposed to get, and then more rain on Monday morning we weren't supposed to get, so we didn't even get on the racetrack till 4:30 in the afternoon. And Tony went out. Austin Dillon was the first one on the racetrack. Tony went out after him, and like the third lap in, dug in turn one and ripped the right front off the truck and tore the splitter off.
That explains the damage in the
really
video.
Had a thinking feeling. And but I mean, they took the splitters off after that, and we had, and everything that you see in that video really isn't representative of how well it all went. And it's really going to be exciting, and we're working on the schedule right now with NASCAR. It looks like they're going to come in a day early, spend a lot of late Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening with two long practice sessions, and then a final practice qualifying, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything works out, it sounds like 7 o'clock Wednesday, July 24th, we will see our first NASCAR heat races.
Wow.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that was the format.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully, all that stuff gets worked out here in the next week or so, and they'll be able to finally announce the final format of it, so everybody knows what they're looking at.
That's kind of what I figured they were going to do. I don't know. I don't see where they'd have a whole lot of choice. I mean, you could do just strictly time trials like they're used to doing it. Just, I don't know, on a dirt track.
It's at a dirt track. That's not how it works, right?
No, it doesn't seem right.
So
no, and that's and I really have to say, and I have been a huge critic of them, and I was especially after I left Charlotte and over the years. But I do have to give them credit that there has been a huge cultural shift at NASCAR in you have to give them credit, and a lot of it is some of the new people that they have, and some people that have themselves they've changed their way of thinking, and they've realized that, hey, we can't keep doing things the same way, and maybe we have lost our way, and they have really been nothing but fantastic to work with. And I'm not just saying that because this isn't an event that we have to do.
Right.
This is a cool event that we're taking on, and it's a hell of a lot of work, and it's a lot of risk and it's a lot of effort, but at the end of the day, the World 100, the Kings Royal, the Dirt Late Model Dream, those are still our big events, and we are still, the world's greatest dirt track. But this is, it's a cool new thing to celebrate our 60th year, and but they have been really great to deal with on this so far, and they don't always get the credit that they do deserve, because you have to think about everything and how everything can go wrong, and they are very good at thinking about that.
Now, is there any plans for like a support division or anything like that, or are you just strictly running just trucks that night and that's it?
Right now, we want to get the schedule set so that we have the truck race figured out. With the way that the format is laying out, I don't anticipate really needing anything else that night.
Darn.
It's a Wednesday night. It's live on TV, and it's not just live on TV, pay-per-view. This is live on
Speed
Channel,
because they do all the truck races.
Nobody's really sure when Fox is going to rebrand Speed as Fox Sports 1. I mean, for all we know, Speed could be already in the Fox version of the ESPN mode by then.
Right.
It's a great time slot. If you look at the MLB schedule, there's no big baseball games that night. I think it's the third night of the Mets versus the Braves versus the Mets. That's really the biggest thing opposite us on sports TV that night. It's a great TV slot for us, but it's also, it's going to be live around the world. So it's not something that we necessarily want to start messing around with, especially when we know there's going to be time that we need to go out there and play with the track a little bit and throw a little bit of moisture here and there and that sort of thing. And hopefully we don't deal with a Ohio Midwestern summer storm come through or anything like that.
Yeah, you don't want any light poles falling down. That was a...
Well, yeah, we got actually Musco's putting in new lights this spring along the front stretch. So
nice.
All the lights, all the front stretch lights will be out in the parking lot by then.
I'm pretty sure that was the same storm that I was in Ohio for, and I watched Lima Land's fried dough booth go flying across the parking lot.
The Durango, they went through Toledo. It ripped all kinds of stuff down at Toledo, Lima Land.
We saw that. It was awful.
Hillier, yeah.
Yeah, John was scared as we were sitting in the car.
Everybody was scared.
Yeah, it was intense.
It sucked.
That storm was something else.
Yeah, it was intense. That was one of the most intense storms I've ever seen.
It sucked. I'd never heard a siren for a tornado siren going off before. It sucked.
But we enjoyed it.
Is it possible for Eldora to actually completely sell out?
Yes.
It is possible.
So when are we going to have to get our tickets by then?
Well, the tickets go on sale this Saturday, right, Roger?
Tickets go on sale. What we've done is we pre-sold. We did a pre-selling campaign to the folks that had tickets to the
Prelude, right?
2012 Prelude.
Yep.
Just because when we put Prelude tickets on sale last year, we had told them that they had renewal rights, and they still do for the next scheduled Prelude. They'll still have those renewal rights.
Right.
But being a very NASCAR-oriented event, we said, well, let's offer them, because we could have put these on sale in November if we'd wanted to.
Right.
But we wanted to let everybody have their opportunity to get around Christmas and everything. So we did that. We've got well over 4,000 tickets out and sold, all that stuff. So I would say by the time everything gets accounted for, because we just ended that last night, there's only going to be about 12,000 tickets left for sale on Saturday at 10 a.m. And those are the reserved seats, and then we have our grass hillsides, and
right.
We have an idea of what we can handle on the grass hillsides. But it's a Wednesday night. We're dealing with traffic. There won't be as many campers, and we have to be cognizant of our traffic and our roads and our our sheriffs and the DOT and everybody. So, yeah, I mean, we have a number in mind that's our critical mass, and once we reach that, it's like I said to Dave Moody today, is that once we get to that, I mean, we're done. I mean, they're gone and they're gone, and it's poof. So
there's no plans to have any support event the night before?
I'm not saying that there isn't. We might, but we want to get this schedule done first. To understand the NASCAR industry, from the time that they do that Cup banquet until yesterday, those people are taking their vacations, all that stuff. I mean, they work all year long, and really, almost any communication really gets shut down. And I mean, we had a little bit of communication right before Christmas, and then, it's really from Christmas through yesterday, it was pretty quiet. And David Hoots is the managing director of events with NASCAR, and we had a good long talk today and talked about some scheduling things, and not quite sure. I mean, this is not a backgate driven event,
right?
We're not the Tulsa Shootout. We don't need 956 cars for this deal. We're here to put on a great show and entertain people. It's like when you think about back when the World Finals, before the World Finals existed, we used to get 278 or 287 cars and 2,000 people in the stands. And Ben Geisler and I went to Quaker Steak and Lube, and we thought about, if we just had two divisions, we went to 120 cars, and we just totally changed up the formula, and we went to having 15,000 people in the stands and having 120 cars, and it totally changed the whole dynamic of an event, and that's what we're trying to do with this thing. So we got to be in the spectator mode on this thing. So
is it Ticketmaster and EldoraSpeedway.com, or where can people get tickets?
It's EldoraSpeedway.com, and
okay.
I'm going to recommend to anybody that's really interested, go to our website now. EldoraSpeedway.ticketforce.com is the backup link.
Okay.
Eldora, we've got 112,000 fans on our Facebook page. We're the fourth most popular sports stadium in the world. We've got 24,000 followers on our Twitter. Now, that's just Eldora. When you think about the NASCAR social media that's going to hit with this stuff tomorrow and on Saturday, there is going to be a ton of volume hitting our website. We've done everything we can to try and manage how many people are going to be hitting our website, but go ahead, bookmark EldoraSpeedway.ticketforce.com. That is the backup link, and I'm recommending to anybody, buy your tickets online, because we can handle 25 calls at a time here at the office, but you can sit there online and just watch them dwindle away because the online system is handling 800 orders at a time.
Yeah.
People online they can handle.
It says that on their website.
800 orders of 25 tickets at a time. So I would go online.
Yeah, that's what. I guess that's what I'll be doing on Saturday morning.
I looked at the website yesterday to check it because I knew the tickets were going on sale Saturday.
Yeah.
And it says right on their website, there's a disclosure that it can. Please, if you can, go online and order the tickets because it can handle 800 orders at the same time.
Well,
put 4 on your credit card, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the credit card. Roger. Well, we'll keep you for one more thing. Obviously, we know that you're normally out at the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
And our buddy John here is a huge Chili Bowl fan. He came decked out in his Chili Bowl sweatshirt.
Yeah,
Mike, and his Chili Bowl hat tonight.
Mike gave me some bad news before we went on the air. We sat down. He said he got an email from me, and you're not flagging this year.
No, this is the first time since 2001 that in fact, I'm probably not even going out. So
how can you miss that?
I had I went for a little checkup when I was down in Charlotte for the World Finals, and I had a MRI and everything, and was over at Dr. Petty's place, and my neurosurgeon. I told him I'd been having some headaches and stuff again, and he said, "Yep. Yeah, right there. That's why." And so I had 3 new malformations in behind my left ear, just there in my brain. And so we went in on Friday, November 15th or 16th, whatever it was, and went in and did a little bit of brain tweaking. And they go in through my leg to do it. I haven't had any headaches since. I've been feeling awesome, but they go in through my leg, and I can't run, and flagging from the racetrack at the Chili Bowl, you need to be able to run.
Yes.
So, that was going to be one of my things I was going to ask you tonight, because I know you always flag during that whole week. Every year that I've been there, you've always flagged, and I was going to wonder what it took. I was going to ask you what it took to get me down there by you, because you have the best seat in the building.
Yeah, it's a shame because I love it. It's so much fun, but it's like racing hurt. I mean, at some point, you gotta realize what's best for everybody, and
health. You got to take care of yourself.
It's not the best for me. It's not best for the competitors. It's not best for anybody. And there's a lot of great people. I mean, you guys saw, I think, the Tulsa Shootout and how many competitors they have, and all that staff there. Those guys work that event for 4 days with all that racing.
Yep.
And, I just get to fly in and flag at the Chili Bowl, and, I get to, do the easy shift. Well, those guys deserve to get a chance to flag the big race now.
Yep.
And so, good for Roy and Hank and all them guys are going to get a chance to flag it this year because they've been backing me up and done a great job, and they've pulled me out of harm's way a lot of time over the years. So, they're more than deserving, and they'll do a great job. And I really am very happy for them, and can't wait for them to finally get that chance.
That's good. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, definitely. And
feeling great, and I can't wait. Actually, we're going down for some NASCAR safety and security meetings on Saturday night after we sell a bunch of tickets, and be back up here on Wednesday night.
Sounds fun. Are we going to see you in Florida at all? I know I'm heading down for Speed Week for the dirt modified portion.
Yep, I'll be down at Volusia pretty much every night during late model and modified week, except for the night that the trucks race over at the big track. I guess I probably ought to show up for that.
Yeah, you kind of roped into that one now, huh?
Yeah. So, we don't have a sponsor yet. I guess at some point I need to try and sell that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, Roger, we really appreciate you coming on the 31st lap and taking the time to chat with us. Yeah. And we look forward to this event, and hopefully we can get you on the horn maybe one more time before the race and let us know how things are going and where you're at and how it's going to shape up.
What are you doing Thursday, July 25th?
Everything you guys do, and appreciate everything you do to support the sport, and followed you all online, and trust me, maybe not have always known that I've been reading or acknowledging, but have definitely been listening at some of your observations over the years. So I very much appreciate it.
We're always open to a live show at Eldora whenever you want us.
Yep.
Just let me know, and I'll send you the address for the rights fees.
Yep. Good luck. Well, Roger, man, hey, have a good night. And again, thanks a lot for coming on. And I know we'll be on online on Saturday ordering our tickets.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, guys.
You too,
Thanks.
man.
You
Have a good
too.
one.
All right.
Again, so that was Roger Slack, general manager of Eldora Speedway. And sounds like they got
Silly.
things going.
Silly Roger thinks when we want to do a show at the track that we want to telecast the race.
Yeah, no. We can't afford that.
No, basically, we just want the password to the internet so we can do a show in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Coming to you live from the Eldora Speedway.
Yep. Yeah, we don't need to do anything other than just sit in the parking lot and say we were there.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been there twice and never seen a race because
Well,
Mother
Really?
Nature. Maybe I shouldn't go to this race.
I've seen a race every time I've been there.
No,
so
both
you know,
times
maybe
I've gone.
Maybe you should stay away.
Yeah, I
you know
know.
what, Mike? Maybe you and I should see our first race there together.
Yeah, I'm going. July 24th. I'm trying to think.
Wednesday night, dude.
It's a Wednesday night.
Ain't
I gotta
nothing
look.
else going on.
I gotta
It's
look.
the week leading up to Indy.
I know, but I do teach summer school, so I have to look into
Pay
the.
no attention.
Yeah, pay no attention because now I have that.
Yeah, because those kids really actually need
They actually need to learn.
somebody.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
I gotta
there for no
look. I
reason.
think I'm done that week. I think that's the week I'm done,
Dude.
but I'm not sure.
If
No,
they
listen.
didn't get it all year, they don't need you that
No,
one
no,
day.
no,
No,
no.
some of them get it
You
in
got
6
no
weeks.
idea. 6 weeks is totally changes it. Totally changes it. I got to see when the dates are, when it starts, etc. But I'm probably just going to buy 2 tickets, and then whatever happens after that, if I have to sell them, I'll sell them. But I would prefer not to have to do that. And it
They're
could
only-
be.
they're
And I'm
only
wondering
like
if that's.
$38, I think, or something.
Yeah, that's not bad. When is the
That's not
silver?
bad at
See,
all.
I got to know when the Silver Cup is because the Silver Cup is on Tuesday, and that's the day.
And that's always in July.
Right. It's the same time frame. I think it's the week before, the 17th, I think, or the 16th, because I always take that day off. Or let me rephrase it. I take the next day off from summer school. I
The
get
Silver
one
Cup
for-
is an outlaw race. Have somebody that's listening online. Maybe they can look it up.
Yeah,
for you.
look it
The
up.
outlaw
Let me know.
schedule's out.
Let me know when that is. Although that would be a heck of a 2-day trip.
Lernerville the night before, and then
Lernerville and then go
Eldora.
to Eldora.
You're going to have
Ooh.
Utica Rome that night, big guy.
No, I won't. July 24th. Am I really?
Zoopy just signed you up for it.
Really?
Tough, Soupy.
Oh well,
It looks
No.
looks like he's taking
no,
the reins.
no. I don't think so because that was a late model date, and we do not have Lucas Oil late models in 2000. And
Looks like he's taking the reins that night.
he was just messing with.
Yeah, I know he was. Yeah, exactly. I know what date that week that is. Nice try, Zupan. Way to go. And Ted Christopher's the man.
That's right. I agree.
Yep. Had to get that in there.
13.
Yep. Number 13. So
He
yeah.
did not find that funny.
I know he didn't. That's why I said it.
Wow, I would read what he said, but I'm pretty sure that most of those words shouldn't be said. Not that they haven't. They just
not that you haven't said it on here.
yeah, not that- I don't know what you're talking about.
That was his New Year's resolution.
Yeah, not to drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the first week back.
I promise not to curse in January.
Yeah, in January. But no, but that was neat, to talk about all the logistics that go on. I can't, what's amazing?
What's amazing is
is
NASCAR's
how
willing to make new templates for this race. If you think
Yeah, I
about
know.
it.
Well, yeah,
Their
get rid
whole
of the
tech inspection's gotta
splinter.
change.
Yeah. But just the fact that they were able to keep that as secret as they were. I mean, because you really didn't hear much about it. I mean, you heard it, again, at ESPN, of course, but.
Sonny knew about it before ESPN did.
But none of us knew.
Sonny knew about this party before we all did, too. Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Called you out.
We talked about it on here.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, by
Hey,
the way.
guys, what are you guys doing January 27th?
You guys have to go to a show.
I don't know. Why? What are we doing? Oh, we're doing a live show in Dexter.
Dresden.
Dresden. Sorry,
Dresden.
close enough. I was
Dresden.
close. Start with a D.
Dexter.
And a
I
minute
thought
ago,
Dexter was a TV show.
I don't even
a
know.
minute
man.
ago, I hate to pull you off track, but a minute ago she was booking us for another live show next week. She wanted to move the IMCA show there.
Where?
Good
There?
grief.
Yeah.
No, not
I don't think
midweek.
that's gonna work out.
Midweek's killing me.
Well, you're not even coming to that anyway. Right?
I don't
I
know
was
what I'm
informed of that on the way here.
doing. Yeah, you're driving by yourself,
I
John.
got some stuff by
You know what?
myself
I'll be in the
like
chat room that night if you need me.
Realistically, John, I told you that before.
Huh?
It's not.
Yeah, they got
it's not
like
a big deal.
12 people coming out here, so I mean, him and Rich can cover it.
No, Rich has a
Well,
birthday
is Rich
party.
going to be here?
Rich has got a birthday party. Oh, we digress. Something terrible after that, but no. We'll,
Hey,
what?
You started the winners stuff there before we did this interview.
Yeah, if you got
never
something,
really
go for it.
finished.
Oh, I
Well,
said
you
the top
didn't-
5 of what
You talked
about my race.
We talked about
the Providence race.
Yeah.
Fort Wayne ran.
We talked
of
about
course.
the important races.
Yeah, the one that
The Fort
everyone, the
Wayne
one I
TQ.
care about.
The Fort Wayne TQ race. Their 2-day show was Friday night was Billy Weiss, and I
John,
think
you're on camera. Take your finger out of
smoke
your eye.
blew up. I got something in my eye, dude. It's
called a
not my
finger.
finger.
Yeah, I was getting there. Yeah.
On Saturday night, I think it was Mike Bidzchak or whatever his name is, won Tony was leading and
Blew it?
something happened.
No,
Got-
no.
Blue was out there?
He got turned around or something.
No.
And
Yeah.
Smoke, the big thing was Smoke did not win either
He won
night.
both last year, right?
Every year he
Yeah,
sweeps.
sweeps it. Yeah, he
And
wins
he
everything.
didn't win either one this time.
He smokes them.
Oh,
Yeah, look at
That's
that.
the most original line I've ever heard.
I haven't used that in a while, so I figured I'd go
Yeah, that was
go
really
original.
good.
Go all original.
You haven't changed directions, or what do you always call it?
What?
Shift gears.
Shift gears. I haven't done that yet tonight.
No.
Haven't done
And
that
of
yet
course,
tonight.
as Roger mentioned, the Tulsa Shootout this past weekend. They ran their qualifying Friday and Saturday.
Who won the ultimate of the
Sunday,
900
Sunday
and
night,
658
they had their 8
cars?
classes. The 2 headline classes is the Outlaw division, non-wing and wing. The non-wing race was won by, I believe, Chris Andrews. And then
Did you watch
the
him?
wing portion, yeah, I watched every day.
Okay.
I watched every bit of it
I was impressed.
on pay-per-view.
There was 2 or 3 guys, maybe 4, that ran Fort Wayne and then boogied
Yeah,
back.
Tim Buckwalter.
Tim Buckwalter, Ryan Smith,
Ryan Smith, yep.
and there was another one.
No,
Ryan Smith.
Ryan wasn't there.
Yeah,
No.
I thought he was.
He was not at Tulsa Shootout, no. Tim Buckwalter was.
Tim Buckwalter. Oh no, Ryan Smith was at Fort Wayne.
Ryan Smith was at Fort Wayne.
Yes.
When are we going to have Tim Buckwalter on
Which
the
was
show?
Friday and Saturday.
Right.
Um,
I don't know. Get
Well,
your
yeah,
eight-
the winged outlaw portion was won by the same guy that won it last year was Heath Dunkerkin.
No, it's cool.
Okay.
I don't mind
Brady,
getting
Brady
ignored. That's
Bacon
cool.
runs second in the wing portion.
Well, yeah, he's got to mention Brady Bacon because
Brady Bacon.
Well, we had him on a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
so.
and yeah. That's
He was third in the
how you
non-wing
make
portion.
and he's got his Brady Bacon sweatshirt on underneath the Chili Bowl
No, I
sweatshirt.
do
He's
not.
wearing 2 layers today because
No.
it's
How
cold
you
in
making
here.
out-
Actually, I got a Chad Brockman T-shirt on.
Oh, okay, all right.
How you making out with Swindell?
He never got back
How
to
about
me.
Buckwalter? Are we going to have him on the show?
Yeah, let's go.
Who?
ARDC midget
Steve
champion.
Buckwalter? He's
No.
in Australia.
Tim. He was the ARDC champion.
He was the ARDC champ this year.
Why don't you get on that?
I'd like to have Steve on before we had Tim, to be honest with you.
That's not very nice.
Well, that's
He
too
was
bad.
the ARDC champion.
He has been.
Yeah.
He would be if he ran every race.
Yeah, probably. But
He's got to get out of Williams Grove.
nah, nobody needs to leave Williams Grove. All right, sorry, I hate to tell you.
Yeah, he's in Australia, so.
Good for him.
Speaking of Australia,
Kyle Larson,
again,
just pretty
more-
much every
more-
time I
more
look
race results. They
Yeah.
had 4 in the since December 27th. They've had 4 nights of midget racing
and Kyle Larson has won all 4 of them.
in New Zealand at Western Spring Speedway, and Kyle Larson won all 4 nights.
Yeah, yeah.
that's where Buckwalter is.
Yeah, because every time you see
or
it,
was.
you see a tweet from Kyle Larson. It's I won
Won
again,
again, yeah.
in New Zealand.
He's got no talent at all.
None, zero.
It's
Zero.
amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, he gets
no.
in a car that he
Doesn't even know.
never
just,
saw before
you know
until
what?
he got over
Somebody
there.
called me to fly to New Zealand race a midget. I think I'll go, and then he wins every race.
4 nights in a row. He runs 4 races and wins all 4.
What was
of
it?
them.
Darren Pittman tweeted out the other day. He goes,
Kid's
Kyle
amazing.
Larson, you can just stay in New Zealand so somebody else can win the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, the kid's amazing.
That was awesome. That was awesome. So,
He is something, I tell you.
Casey just signed on to run the Chili Bowl, right?
yeah.
Yes, Casey
Kane as well.
announced yesterday is on the entry list now.
Driving Cody
as a
Dara's,
teammate.
right?
Yeah,
The
he's
Cody
driving
Dara.
a Dara family car. Although the car owner listed on the entry list is Gary Zarunian,
Interesting.
which Gary Zarunian is a former winner of the Chili Bowl.
Nice.
But it's affiliated with Dara Motorsports.
Right. Okay.
And he'll be a teammate to Scrub, Rick Eckert.
Nice.
Because, of course,
Well,
Eckert
Scrub's
is related to
to
the
Cody
Daras.
Dara. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Peter Britton won the memorial race for his dad, too.
Did he?
Yeah,
That's
down in
good.
Australia.
Very awesome. Very awesome.
From 19th.
That's impressive.
Nice.
All right, Chris, you want us to shift gears?
I
So-
want you to say
He
it.
wants me to say
There's
time to
been,
shift
a lot
gears.
there's been a lot of racing around. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. Everybody
not-
thinks there's nothing going on in the winter.
Well,
there's a
there's
lot
nothing-
going on.
Not here.
Ain't that far away.
Oh, New Zealand. Let me get on a plane.
Rhode
I'll be there.
I- no,
I'll
Rhode
be there in
Island.
27 hours.
Rhode Island,
What's
Fort
a
Wayne.
plane trip, Bill?
Yeah, well, come on, it was 27 hours on a plane. It's only like $4,000.
You went to Rhode Island. It's not
Yeah,
that far.
oh, it's
few
far enough.
hours.
It's far enough.
Fort Wayne, few hours. It's not that
Oh,
far.
a few hours.
There's
12 and a
race-
half hours later.
There is racing if you want to go bad enough.
All right,
As
yes.
you
All
went.
right.
I know.
All right.
All right, here. Shift gears now.
Yep.
There we go.
I'm
Shifting
pretty
gears.
sure that Rolf Schnur from Rolf Schnur Motorsports Marketing did not sign up to listen to us argue about where we wanted to travel to races.
How do you know? Maybe you should
I'll
ask.
ask him. Rolf, you here to listen to us argue? You want to talk a little bit about marketing race cars?
I think that since you guys already decided that Roger had something interesting to talk about, I'll just listen whatever you guys want.
Wow, a lot of love there.
Well, yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, you're away from racing for a little while. You've come back. You helped us put together that conversation that we had with Brett Hearn and then Matt Papa. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and some of the cool things you're doing with those scan squares on the sides of the race cars.
I appreciate it, guys. Basically, what I've done is I've been in motorsports marketing a long time. I started as a dirt car owner. I owned modifieds for 9 years. I was the director of marketing at Flemington Speedway, went south, been in motorsports marketing a long time. Up until now, the most fun I ever had was I had an academy that trained young race car drivers on all their skills outside the race car named Future Stars. And then the economy kind of went south and told me I really didn't need to have it. But I thought that, I've had two passions in my adult life, tennis, which has nothing to do with racing, and racing. And I started a motorsports marketing company back up last November. I was introduced to a guy named David Brinkman in Wisconsin. His son Kyle's an 18-year-old racer, and he had a unique way of marketing, instead of the traditional 20-page packet of information that ends up in the garbage. He had something different. And I looked at it, and it was in its early infancy, but I said, David, we can turn this into a business. Because what's happening now in motorsports is decision makers don't have 3 hours to read a packet. So how do we make an impact in 5 to 6 minutes? So if I ask a racer and I say, well, what do you have? They said, we've got this big presentation. And I just say, traditionally now it's going to mobile marketing. Everything is mobile marketing. So what happened is, in the span of 5 to 6 minutes, we can tell a racer's story, why they're involved in motorsports, why they should be involved in motorsports, the power of motorsports, the loyalty of race fans, why this specific driver. Our slogan is, you've got a great story to tell, let us tell it. So, being involved with Brett, Brett Hearn, I've known Brett. Brett actually drove my car once at Flemington when his broke down in this big race. Being involved with Brett, you've got a lot to sell. And we were trying to figure out what's the next generation of motorsports on demand, which are these mobile marketing 5 to 6 minute presentations. And we find that in sponsorship, there are a lot of people that have a tough time justifying why they're spending money. So let's take a local racer. A local racer is getting $7,000 from a tire company. And the owner of that company goes, Rich, why am I spending this money? I get that my name's on the side of your car. I get that you put your car out in front of my place a couple times a year. But what are you really doing for me? So David and I sat down and said, well, the next generation of sponsorship is bringing your sponsorship to life. So at the World Finals in Charlotte, on the side of Brett's car next to Madsen overhead door, is a QR code. And a QR code is a quick response code. You take a picture with your smartphone, and it takes you somewhere. Well, with our new generation on Madsen overhead, it took it to a 90-second commercial on Madsen overhead. So what we're doing is we're bringing sponsorship to life. And we call that ads on demand. The response has been incredible, and we're having a great time.
That's pretty interesting.
There.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is neat. Yeah.
And you can see that bar.
I have seen those.
Yeah. You're not smart enough to do it, though, are you?
Yeah, it's a barcode. You scan it with your phone.
You can figure it out?
I've
it's
actually
a QR
done
code
that.
Wow.
On your phone, there's an application that scans it and takes it directly there. Now, what's really interesting is, with a Madsen, they just don't use it on the side of the car. Because someone said to me, well, the car's going 120 miles an hour. How are you going to see it? You have a trailer, you have a website, you have a hero card, you have their website, their vehicles, you put it on there. And so what we're saying to, when Guy Madsen saw it, he goes, do I get to use this? And we said, yes. That's the whole thing. We're helping build your business, because that's where sponsorship's going.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. I mean, how difficult is it now? I mean, how many 5-minute or 6-minute presentations do you send out in order to recruit some sort of support versus how many 20, 30-page packets have been sent out that would generate some sort of result?
That's a great question, but here's the deal. If you send out 5 packets and you send, and you know, with ours, you can either, like with Brett's, it's BrettHearnOnDemand.com. So you put that in the URL, and it goes right there. Well, if you're not doing anything, on the front of Brett's website is click here to see my marketing presentation. So Brett's had 1,000 people look at it this year. Well, Brett hasn't directly gotten a sponsor per se, but here's what he got. In 2013, 15-year-old Matt Papa is going to race as a teammate to Brett. And that happened as a result of us, you know, developing the relationship with Brett and me becoming, you know, friends with Matt and his family and working with them as well. So we call it relationship marketing. You might not necessarily see something directly from it, but you're going to have an impact.
We got a question coming in from the live chat. This is a sportsman guy who runs quite a bit, and he's wondering if the website has to be set up for the QR code, or can you link the QR code to an existing website?
Another great question. We can link the QR code to anything. Some people use QR codes, and if you take a picture, it's a 10% discount on shoes, or you know. Another person, it might say, come into Circle K, buy one, get one free. Or it can be to a website. Or it can be to, you know, Brett Hearn On Demand, or Matt Papa On Demand, or MotorsportsOnDemand.com. So, again, a great question, but it can be used for anything. It can be linked anywhere. And what it does is it takes you from the 80s and 90s of marketing to where you're really making something that will make a difference for their business. My personal opinion is a marketing partnership. I really don't like the word sponsorship, but if a marketing partner is going to be successful, you've got to build their business, you've got to get them new customers, and you've got to create a program that makes business sense.
Now, you've hit on something here for some of these sportsman guys. We got all sorts of questions rolling in now. The one that people are asking the most right now is what's it cost? What's it take for the driver to get involved with something like this and try and start reaping some of the connections and benefits? Okay.
There are two products right now. We have Motorsports On Demand, which is a 5 to 6 minute presentation. It is $2,295. Now that sounds like a lot of money. But one of the things I teach, by the way, just so you know, next Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 Eastern Time, I'm going to do a webinar. And my email address is sponsorland, SPONSORLAND @AOL.com. You guys can put that up if you want. If you want an invitation to that, just please come on and you'll see. One of the things I talked about last time was, do you have a budget? And what happens is people say, yeah, I've got a budget. I've got a budget for tires. I've got a budget for gas. I've got a budget for bumpers. I've got a budget for my new uniform. But there's no marketing and branding. So the question is, if you're a sportsman racer, how do you differentiate yourself from the other 25 sportsman cars that are sitting in the pits? You think you're going to do it by winning? It's not just winning. What we do is we mold and we produce marketable drivers. And that's how it works. The other product, which is the Ads on Demand, which is a 60 to 90 second commercial, it's $599. So you have to ask yourself a question. How do I market myself? How do I get to that next level? If you're a sportsman driver and you want to race small block, how do I get to that next level? You know, we always say in business that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So if you're a sportsman driver and you're doing the same thing over and over, and, you know, I see a lot of people on Facebook going, I need sponsorship money for next year, help me. That really is very enticing. So, I mean, the whole point is part of your budget, whether it's 10%, 15%, 30%, whatever it is, it has to be on marketing and branding. If you look at the successful teams, that's what they do. And you reap the benefits of doing it. Did I answer the question?
you got all sorts of people interested on the live chat. That's for sure.
Good.
We'll get that.
good,
We'll
right?
get. Oh yeah, this is cool. I mean, I remember the conversation that we had a couple weeks ago before Matt came on, and I mean, just listen to the way that you talk about it and stuff like that. It's fascinating. It's a new way of looking at it, and it is the way that drivers need to start looking at it. They need to start branding themselves, because the days of being able to walk up to a local gas station and say, "Hey, can you give me a couple grand so I can go race a car and put your name on the side?" Those days are gone. I mean, those days are gone, and it doesn't really look like they're coming back anytime soon. So in order to make that sponsorship work and that relationship work, and the angle that you're taking and talking about it and putting words out there, even though you're talking about sportsmen and pro stock and street stock drivers, and putting terms on it like branding and marketing and selling yourself and things like that, it's all applicable, and it's keeping the cars on the track.
Okay, let's. I don't know of any racer that spends less than 10 grand. Okay, if you, I don't know how you do it if you do, unless you're in a really like a U car or whatever those crazy things are. Ask yourself a question: if you happen to have 5 sponsors that equaled $8,000, and you were afraid that you were going to lose it, especially for the biggest one, would you spend $599 to save that? Especially when you could go to them and say, you know what? Look, last year you gave me $4,200. It was critical to my success, and I can't thank you enough. But what if I could take your business to the next level, and I could activate your sponsorship where it came alive, and I gave you a tool that would help your business? Would you consider $5,000? I mean, what are they going to say? No, I think I'd prefer to just stay in the dark ages. I mean, you've got to get creative. And, you know, I'm gonna get off the track a little bit. One of my favorite expressions is, and I guarantee you, every one of the sportsman racers who's ever listening on the chat thing, have you ever heard, "But I don't like racing"? So perhaps
from
the biggest
ex-girlfriend.
objection we hear is, "I don't like racing." So here's my favorite line for that. I think it was 1995 or 96, I was the national director of motorsports marketing for a company named Easy Care. And we put together a program with Talladega Superspeedway to have a race called the Birmingham Area Auto Dealers 500K. It was an ARCA race. And so this Superspeedway got us a place. You know, we went fancy. We did a Ruth Chris Steakhouse for lunch. And the CEO gets up there and he's ready to talk to all these dealers. And I am telling you, they were so uninterested. It was incredible. Obviously, they didn't like racing. So the man, who was a brilliant man, gets up at the microphone and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't make a difference whether you and I like racing." And he paused. And he made it a good pause. And then he said, "Because your customers do." So what I want every one of the local racers, the sportsman racers, whatever you consider yourself, the next time you hear that, here's what you need to say: it doesn't make a difference whether you and I like racing. You know I do. It doesn't make a difference if you do. Your customers do. Tonight I actually sat down, 14-year-old Legends racer in Charlotte, North Carolina, and, you know, we were talking about his career and where we wanted to go. And when I told them that, they said, "Wow. I mean, that's really incredible." You see, the difference between working with, trying to do marketing yourself, is like when I drove Legends cars. I drove for 6 years. They let me check the air pressure and they let me put gas in, because that's where my limitations were. I am not a mechanic.
You sound like Rich.
But guys, the thing is, I had the ability to walk up to somebody and go, "You know what? Here's why you need to be involved in motorsports." And we all have our capabilities. That's why I want people to be on the webinars, because the information that you get, you can use. Whether you ever do a Motorsports on Demand or an Ads on Demand with us, that's your choice. But if you want to have every tool, the racers that we work with, the racetracks we work with, the racing companies, and now even just regular companies, For 25 years, I've been putting these tools together. Here's another really good example. Open-end question versus closed-end question. Rich, I want you to ask me, do you want to sponsor my race car?
Do you want to sponsor my race car?
No, that's a closed-end question. You're done. It's over.
Yeah, Rich.
So the point is, if you learned how to ask questions. See, racers don't think about things like this. This is all I think about. If you asked a question, let's say it was a local store, and you ask them, how do you currently advertise and promote your store? What are some of the ways that you try to drive traffic to your store? Is the answer no? Or is the answer an open-ended question where they're going to tell you everything you need to know about what you need to sell for them to become a marketing partner? So, I'm not giving you guys a chance to ask very many questions, so I really like when people ask questions and tell them if they have something specific. I love being put on the spot. That's what I love doing.
Well, the biggest thing that people are, we're getting all sorts of comments about, great interview, and they're really on board with everything you're talking about. And this is really the right time to have this conversation too, as a lot of these race teams are putting their 2013 season together. Hit them with the information one more time. It was sponsorland at AOL.com to get information about the webinar.
Yeah, or Rolf Schnur on Facebook, ROLFESCHNUR. You can go to Facebook on there. And, leave me a message. The interesting part is once somebody becomes involved, they don't miss a webinar. They don't. And it's really funny. One of the kids I work with is a 15-year-old in Texas. And his mom is a principal. And she'll text me or call me after and go, you need to talk slower. I can't write that fast. The really cool part is we record them. And, you can actually, just like you guys do, you can get the entire thing. And so motorsports is changing. This is from our promo. It's, we basically say motorsports is changing. The technology that we use for motorsports is changing. Are you keeping up with the time? Ask yourself that question. And, I'd offer to you guys, if you want to do something every few weeks where I come on and people do questions, ask Rolf about sponsorship, I'd be happy. One of the things, I'm going to be working with the driver that we signed tonight. I'm going to be working with him on public speaking. Mm-hmm. Because everything we do in life is about selling. And this kid has all of the advantages except for the fact he's not comfortable speaking in front of people. So what if over the next year I can turn him from shy and quiet in front of a camera to when he goes into a racetrack, he walks up to a media person and says, my name is Peyton Ryan. I'm driving the number 23 car tonight. If there's anything you want to know about my team, I'd be happy to answer. So everybody that's listening, how many of you do that? I guarantee you, well, at this point in his career, people go up to Brett Hearn, but I guarantee you, makes himself available. The media can be your best friend or it can be your enemy. Mm-hmm. And I was taught by a brilliant man named Fred Reichert probably 15 years ago. Fred owns the largest Ford dealership in Columbus, Ohio. He wanted to go racing. He was racing in ASA. He should have never been, but he wanted to. Let me explain something to you. You need two things in racing. You need a cause, and you need the media. If you have both of those, think about what that does for you. Think about how the media can either make it or break it for you.
That also sounds like Rich.
Cause, and the cause part, really, really cool story. Sean Corr sat on the pole for the ARCA race in Daytona. He's going to race Camping World Truck again, this year, maybe 11, 12 races, whatever it is. And they have a cause. Warriors in the workplace. Helping get soldiers who are coming back jobs and get reacclimated. Now, that's a cause. That's a cause. One that you can really sink your teeth into. All I read on Facebook every time there's something that happened is, thank you, soldiers, thank you, soldiers, thank you, soldiers. Well, maybe if you got involved with this Warriors in the Workplace, you'd really be doing something for them.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, one of the things you can always hear when you listen, when people listen to you guys talk about a subject that you love, they hear the passion in your voice. Don't they? You guys
Absolutely.
are passionate about what you do. You certainly don't do this show for the big bucks.
Nope. Not a chance.
Hit that one out of the park.
Yes.
We'd be happy to do it for $1.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you guys let me do that segment every 2 weeks, I'll send you $1.
Make it 4 and you got a deal.
Hey, a funny story about that is, I don't know if you guys remember who Mark Kenyon was. Mark
Yeah,
Kenyon used
absolutely.
to. Mark Kenyon had a Ford dealership. He drove modifieds. He did a really good job at marketing himself. And I was doing a seminar at Lenny Salmon Show a long time ago, and he was in there. He said, "Hey, let me come in and play with you." So he goes, if you ask for $10,000 sometimes from a sponsor, doesn't that sound like a lot of money? How about if you ask for $200 a week? That's pretty clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 So I'll tell you what, I'll
Not
give you
bad.
a quarter each.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rolf.
Yeah. Well, we're just about done here. I couldn't resist myself. Sorry. I am not afraid of public speaking. Just so you know.
Can I plug? Lenny Salmons has had a fantastic motorsport show. I think it's at the Greater Philadelphia Expo.
Yep, I'll be there.
Well, on Saturday night, January 19th at 6 o'clock, Brett Hearn and I are doing a seminar on branding and marketing, being professional. And if you're a racer and you're there, you will not. I mean, I praise Brett a lot only because, he's the man. And for 38 years now, when you look at someone to be professional, he breathes professional. And I love telling this story. Back when I owned Dirt Modifieds, we both ran Tony File motors at the time. And I couldn't wait to go to Tony's to get my motor dynoed, And so one year I walked in and I said, "Tony, I want a JLB motor." He goes, "I sell Tony File motors." He goes, "No, I want a JLB motor." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Just like Brett." Can't have one. So I bought a used year-old one. But I got that just like Brett motor. So that's the beauty of what we do. I mean, racing is so unique. And if it's okay, please indulge me. And I want to do two things. One, I want to say hello to an amazing lady in North Carolina, Mary. Hi. I told you I'd do that. I got the silly part out of the way. But, I was a friend with Doug Hoffman. And when I owned Big Block Dirt Modifieds, when we were on the Soul Super Dirt Series, Doug always looked at us and gave us a hand. Now, I had the Coors Extra Gold car, and ironically, after I retired as a car owner, Doug got that sponsorship. I thought it was an excellent choice. And it doesn't, I know that there are some rumors going around about how Doug lost his life, but it's not important how he lost his life. It's the impact he had on those people's lives that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into Doug last February at Daytona with Gina and Sky. And Doug said, "How are you?" This and that. And we took the time, and I told him about what I was doing. And one of the things I really liked about Doug is when you talk to him, he really listened. And I will tell you from the bottom of my heart, I am very saddened for a lot of people that we lost such a great young man as Doug Hoffman. So thanks for letting me say that.
No problem.
Sure,
No
no
problem.
problem. We are we're butting right up against the limiter right now.
Okay.
Just one more time, let us know where we can find the information on that webinar.
Okay, my email address is sponsorland, TONSORLAND@AOL.com. Or you can go on Facebook to Rolf Schnur, ROLFESCHNUR. Send me a message. It doesn't cost anything. I guarantee you at the end of that hour you'll have questions and you'll say, wow, I didn't think of that. So, guys, I really want to thank you for having me on. In a business where word of mouth is probably the best thing we do, I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity.
No problem. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch here as the weeks go on, and we'll figure out some other ways of incorporating some of those drivers that you got in your stable and stuff like that.
Sounds great. I really appreciate it. I mean, we've been on a whirlwind the last week. I'm spinning, thinking of all the things that are going to happen. So,
well, keep it up. You're doing a good thing.
Yep. Thanks. Please come to the seminar at Lenny's show. It's on Saturday at 6 o'clock. So, again, thanks, guys, and you're doing great things for motorsports in the Northeast.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a good night. Happy New Year.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. There goes Rolf Schnur. Some interesting stuff to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is why I don't own a race car.
Yeah, it makes two of us.
What guy has a $10,000 budget? Well, I'm done.
You did have.
Yeah, I did.
You just filled that one out.
It's filled.
I got $10.
I know if I got that in my pocket.
Well, I didn't say I had it in my pocket.
Oh, okay, all right. We're taking the bottles back when we get home.
Gotta go home and ask the wife if you can have it back.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I can come up with $10.
Guys, I'm gonna need 24 hours. Oh,
well,
man.
quick programming note before we get out of here. We are off next week. The following week, January 17th, we got the IMCA special. Got all sorts of IMCA stuff coming up online. I think Rich has got a birthday party, so I don't think he's coming out. Mike
Are you going to be here or no?
Mike is. You got something going on, but we're not sure. John might still be making the trip.
I'll be here because somebody's got to talk about the Chili Bowl.
So
Yes.
we'll do that.
Who the hell's going to give the results if I'm not here?
Any final thoughts before we pack it in for episode number 58?
Yeah, just a quick update. They updated the Chili Bowl site actually while we were sitting here tonight. Entry list is up to 270 now.
Wow.
Tonight, this afternoon, they released the drivers that were invited in the VIROC race, which is they run every Tuesday. Every year on Tuesday night, they run an invitational race called VIROC. It's the
very important race car driver.
It's an invitation. It's an invitational race of champions.
Okay.
And they got 15 drivers that are in it that they invited. Just to name a few: Kyle Larson, Sammy Swindell,
Bet Larson wins.
J.J. Ailey,
Kevin Swindell. I don't know. Kevin Swindell.
It's former winners of the Chili Bowl or car owners that have a car entered that have won the race in the past. So McCready's in it, Damian Gardner's in it, or somebody that
gonna be a good show.
Is a special, a big name driver.
How many laps is that race?
25.
That'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's usually
it's better than sitting through
it's
7 nights.
Usually whoever starts up on the front row typically, because everybody's so good that's in that race.
Yeah.
There's not usually a lot of. There's no accidents typically.
It's like a sprint car race.
Typically, that race is because
everything you complain about with sprint car racing, he's talking about. Oh no, it's an IROC race. It's awesome. And nobody passes.
Everybody's so good in that race. It's usually just boom, 25 laps and it's.
You were upset watching it.
Over.
Chris, put the final bullet in this.
Did you watch it though? Shoot! Did you watch
When
that
I'm
race?
There, yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
then. See, you like sprint car racing. We're good.
Well, we look forward to it. Next week is the Chili Bowl, and the time after that, we'll come back on the 17th IMCA Show Chili Bowl recap. That's going to do it for this edition of the 31st Lap.
Shalom.
www.fingerlakes1.com